Hey guys, our lesson this week involves multiplying numbers with rational exponents. So we're combining what y'all did last week and applying it to this week. So let's start off with this first example. I have 1 to the 1/3 times 1 to the 1/3. Well, since both of these bases are raised to the same exponent, I can go ahead and rewrite this as 1 times 1. And then I'm raising both of them to the 1/3 power. So order of operations means I would do what's in the parentheses first. So 1 times 1 is just 1, and then it's still raised to the 1/3. So then we would do what we did last week. I know that my 3 is the root, so I would take the cube root of 1, and then it's all raised to the first power. So basically, this is just the cube root of 1, which is 1. Okay, if you want to check yourself, feel free. You could really just type that straight in your calculator, 1 to the 1/3 times 1 to the 1/3, and you could check yourself. As we get further along in this lesson, though, you won't be able to use your calculator because they're going to start throwing in some variables, so just make sure you understand this process. Okay, moving on to the next example. This time I have 4 to the 1/3 times 2 to the 1/3. So same thing. Since both of these bases are being raised to the same exponent, I can go ahead and rewrite this as 4 times 2 raised to the 1/3. So 4 times 2 is 8, and then I would raise 8 to the 1/3. So this would become the cube root of 8 to the first power. So this is just a cube root of 8, which would be 2. Okay, next example. So same thing, I'm going to multiply 243 times 3, and both of these numbers are being raised to the 5/6. So I need to evaluate what 243 times 3 is, and that equals 729, and that would be raised to the 5/6. So now I would use the root as 6, and my power is 5. So I need to find the 6th root of 729. And if I type that in my calculator, because I don't want to think about what number to multiply by itself 6 times to get 729. So this is a good opportunity to use your calculator. The 6th root of 729 is 3. And then I would raise 3 to the 5th power. So 3 to the 5th power is 243. Okay, like I said, you could really type this whole original problem in your calculator and you should get the same answer, okay? I just need you to know how to convert these to a radical to understand that process. Alright, so now these problems are going to start involving variables. And the exponent, if you notice, is not the same. So I can't combine these together and then raise them to the same exponent. So for these problems, we need to go back to our laws of exponents. If I'm multiplying two numbers of the same base, I need to add the exponents. So I'm going to take both of these exponents, 5/2 and 1/2, and add them. So this would become b to the 5/2 plus 1/2. And when I add 5/2 plus 1/2, I get v to the 3rd power. So that's just your answer. I would type v and then hit this little exponent and raise it to the 3rd. Okay, same thing for this one. I need to add the exponents. So this would become x to the 3/2 plus 5/6. So I would go ahead and add those together. And I would get 7/3. So this would become x to the 7/3. So just make sure when you type this in, you'd hit x, then do the exponent, and then the fraction so that you can correctly type that in whenever you submit it. So for this one, same thing, I need to add the exponents, but now I have a negative and a positive. So I'd have v to the negative 4/3 plus 6/5. Okay, if you don't want to get a common denominator, just type that in your calculator. And that would give me, when I add negative 4/3 and 6/5, I would get negative 2/15. Okay, so technically that's correct, but we want to keep all of our exponents as positives. So I need to rewrite this with a positive exponent. So remember, all you do if you have a negative exponent, you just rewrite it as the reciprocal, which would become 1 over v to the positive 2/15. So just move that to the denominator, and that would turn that exponent positive. So just be careful when you type this in, make sure you have a fraction. So 1 in the numerator over b to the 2/15 in the denominator. All right, last example. These would be challenge level problems, so if you want to get like a 90 or above, you're just going to do the same thing, add all of your exponents. Don't get confused because there's an extra one there. It's still the same thing. So you're just adding all of these exponents together. So I would add 3/4, negative 1/4, and 11/4. So when I add all of those, I get z to the 13 over 4. So that would be my answer because my exponent is positive, and I have simplified as far as I can go. And just remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or text me, and I can help you work through these. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.